Anglo Gold Ashanti coming out with interim earnings, so too was Sasol as well. So we'll unpack a lot of that, and the rand sitting around 14.50 odd against the US dollar. We'll get into exactly what is moving that market trade, and as you said, a mixed picture coming out of Asia. Let's see how that influences the market locally. But for now, here's the rest of the picture on your European and local markets. Well, the market in itself, as you saw there, a whole lot of green coming through there when you take a look at how the markets performed. 1 1/3% to the good. Gary Boyson's portfolio manager at Rand Swiss joining us now as we unpack the market picture as a whole. Gary, thank you so much for the time. A good market picture thus far, but not real reasons for any joy here. What's really driving this?
I think a little bit of recovery from last week. So yeah, last week was pretty rough. I mean, we had obviously Goldfields down, almost 10% at one point. Obviously the Tiger brand sell off. Naspers, which is such a large component of the index, also coming off. And I think we're just seeing a little bit of a relief rally here as well. We obviously had the currency blowing out last week. We're seeing a little bit of a firmer currency after making those lows above 15 and coming back to about 14.55, so that helping things. We've also got a big recovery in Naspers, which is helping to lift the overall index. So that was up about 4%. We had Tencent up about 2.8 this morning. And if you look at the discount in Naspers at the moment, it's about a 41% discount. The rump is trading at a discount. So you would expect that as Tencent starts to rise, Naspers should rise a little bit quicker than that. And we're seeing a recovery in Naspers off that 3,000 level. I think we're trading just above 3,300 at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of people will be asking questions about Naspers considering last week, and as you continue to say, there will be some sort of recovery. Is it going to be sustainable is probably one question, and two, with fears of those Chinese regulations and the gaming issue, etc., is it just a minor blip in the story?
It seems so. So listening to most of the commentary, the underlying asset there is still Tencent. So Naspers, it is incredibly important for everyone because no matter what investments you have out there, the chances are if you've got any sort of index link, you've got Naspers in there. Naspers obviously with a big Tencent stake. Tencent reporting very weak numbers last week, but most sell-side analysts saying that this is a blip on the sort of a trajectory that you would expect to keep going higher. That said, with the market now looking at those results, they did miss expectations, and with still 90% of Tencent's revenue coming from gaming, at least profit coming from gaming, while only about 40% of its revenue coming from gaming. I think there is still room to expand, but I think you just need to be cautious with the miss on results there. You might see a couple of downgrades coming. So I think that the stock is going to be quite volatile. But after the 8.5% sell-off that we saw, seeing it up 4% today, it seems reasonable.
At the same time, getting earnings out of Anglo Gold Ashanti, rather, a follow-on from last week's Goldfields numbers as well, still not doing good.
Not doing great, but I think not bad given the current environment. Yeah. If we look at the gold price at the moment, I mean the dollar gold price is obviously coming off. They're going to get some relief in their numbers from the currency blowout that we've seen, but that's not being seen in this set. But if you look at the all-in sustaining costs, they're sitting around $1,000 an ounce and projected to kind of be $50 up, $50 down, but around that level. So not a bad result. They also saw their net debt reducing about 17%, which I think is a good effort. Obviously, their CEO Venkat is also stepping down, and I think his comments have been very, very optimistic, saying the forward guidance for Anglo Gold will be that the cost should come in at the bottom end of estimates and the production at the top end of estimates. So definitely, almost lamenting the fact that he's leaving as the stock he thinks is about to run.
Yeah. At the same time, you've got Sasol having come out with earnings. The recent spike in the rand won't necessarily show in these interim earnings, but they would have loved that aspect. although the Brent crude price dropping to just below $72 a barrel may certainly hurt.
Yes, a very, very, very interesting point. So a lot of people look at Sasol as almost a proxy for what's going on the Rand oil price.
Yeah.
Now, if you actually look at their hedging strategy, which we were kind of going through the numbers today, it's interesting to note that they've hedged about 79% of their oil production at $53 a barrel. So yes, absolutely, they want higher oil prices that will feed into numbers, but they have got that downside protection to oil as well. They've also got what's called a collar, which is an option structure where you protect your downside, and to pay for it you sell away a little bit of your upside. So that's looking like they've got it's at about 13-14 Rand dollar price to 15-14. So they've got this kind of range that they want the Rand dollar to be in, and anything further than that is you're actually not going to get the same relationship. So there is going to be a correlation to the Rand dollar and at least the Rand oil price, but it's no longer linear, which is as it goes up you wouldn't expect it to move quite like it used to. So that was interesting in the results today. But also I think everyone just breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that Lake Charles project is almost over. We're 88% of the way through. And yeah, again, I mean, obviously the net profit coming off, and that, as you say, partly because of the stronger currency, also taking an impairments at a couple of their operations as well, and obviously the empowerment scheme also weighing a little bit on the overall earnings.
Yeah, Sasol Inzalo there weighing on them, as you said. Very finally as well, we've got US-China trade talks might be going in a positive direction for once, but you still have Turkey simmering under.
Absolutely, and Turkey's now moving into a period where some of their markets are going to be closed, and I think that's also going to feed into our local currency, because the rand is going to be traded almost as a proxy for the lira, which could result in a little bit more volatility this week in our local currency. But absolutely, so looking at the US-Chinese trade tensions, I mean, at least we're getting Washington and Beijing back at talks probably this week, and hopefully laying the groundwork for a meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping in early November. So we do know that Washington also has now, I think, 6 days of consultative appointments where they could potentially institute another $200 billion worth of tariffs. So that's certainly going to be interesting. But this is all posturing around the current trade negotiations.
Gary Boysons, appreciate your time. But 14.54 against the US dollar is where the rand sits for now. $6,429 for one Bitcoin as well. That is the state of the market. As I said a little bit earlier, 1 1/3% to the good for the all share. That is your market outlook for now. Nompumelelo and Nzinga joining you right after this. Do stay tuned.
We give you a front row seat to all the local and international